Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LimeCar SimRacing Challenge, season number 3, race number 9 here in Seattle, Washington. It's our second super speedway of the year, Armory Digital Superspeedway, a 2.68-mile high-banked oval here in Seattle. It's going to be a fun race. Alongside me in the booth, Dominic Anthony making the trek out here. Dominic, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, I love my super speedways, so I'm very excited for this race, and it should be a good one.
Dominic Anthony, team owner of DAF Racing. They've been the formidable force up front at the past 2 seasons for super speedway races, but it's a CRT sweep for the front row. Very interesting to make note of. Here's a look at our in-season tournament matchups: Hunter Collier versus Giffen, Guthrie versus Maybe. Guthrie, last week's winner. Aquarius Greenhouse Jr. facing off against surprise, Ricardo Garcia, the 30 seed, and then two of the hottest drivers in the series, the points leader Logan Williams facing off against Chase Gibbons, fifth in points.
Yeah, as you said, two of the hottest drivers there, Gibbons and Williams. Williams coming off a win at Fontana and then a ninth place last week at Bristol. And some other formidable matchups there with last week's winner, Michael Guthrie, and a winner earlier this season with Aaron Giffen.
Absolutely. As we take a look at those front two rows, it's going to be a very interesting race. We saw a lot of tightly contested Twitter battles online after the Daytona race. I wonder if this one's going to be different. Here's a look at our race notes. Dominic, take us through them.
Yeah, we got 48 laps here at this 2.6-mile track. Not a typical super speedway. Not the same as Daytona and Talladega anyway. No stops expected today. Should just be a clean and green race all the way through. No pit stops. 4 and 5 wide is doable here, unlike Daytona, where you're really limited to 3 wide, sometimes maybe 4. And then, of course, as you said, round 4 of the in-season tournament.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get a crack on the starting lineup. Row 1, Garrett Lamar and Christopher Marnell. Row 2, Cam Wright Jr. and Christian Visconti. Jerry Chen with a great qualifying effort, as does Blake Walker for row 3. Row 4 sees two winners of this season, Michael Guthrie and Santiago Nicholas. The 4's row, 46 of Ryan Barone and the 43 of Tyler Cook in row 5. Row 6 sees Ricardo Garcia and Alexander Rowe. Chase Gibbons and Matthew Fastnot make up row number 7. Row 8 sees Hunter Collier and Austin Green, two Bones Motorsports teammates. Row 9 sees Quentin Haley and Ethan Harrison, team owner and teammate. Row 10 has Cam Arrow and Talladega winner from last season, Ian McDaniel. Robbie Gordoff and Justin Haley make up row number 11. Row 12 sees Chris Lilly and Joe Kraus. As the cars are getting up to speed here, Reed Simpson and Aquarius Greenhouse Jr. are in row 13. Richard Fridge and Anthony Foss are in row 14. Teammates Henry Guo and Logan Williams closer towards the back in row 15. A Chevrolet of Racing Collins and a Dodge of Strokey Banger in row 16. Row 17 sees a Ford of Zachary Ponce and Aaron Giffen in a Dodge. Jordan Madron and Nathan Stapleton make up row 18, a pair of bow ties. Row 19 sees Kaz Gralla and Nicholas Soa. Row 20 has Norris Told and Braden Sigafos, two teammates by force. And row 21 sees Kyle Maybe and Eris Yuko didn't post a time during qualifying. Any final notes for us, Dominic, before we get ready to go racing for 48 laps here?
We're taking the green here, but one last thing I want to note. You just mentioned it, Eris Yuko. Bad stretch of races, bad qualifying to start the weekend, but he had a top 5 at our last super speedway at Daytona, so he could be rebounding here this weekend, if he can keep his nose clean, that is.
Absolutely. I think that's the name of the game. Green flag is out. We're underway. The two Irish bow ties lead them into turn number 1. Garrett Lamar on the bottom, Christopher Marnell on the top.
Will be interesting to see if we see the teammate restart deal here where one gets up in front of the other. Lamar is clear, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that.
As we have 3 Chevrolets on that top side with Marnell, Visconti, and Blake Walker, but it's the 13 who takes the help from Cam Wright Jr. in the 52 down the back straightaway.
And here's where we see the 5 wide come into play. It's only been half a lap, and we're already seeing more cars fanning out than we ever saw at Daytona, and this is going to be the name of the game all day.
Absolutely. As we get a full field shot there, Cam Wright Jr. is able to take the lead away from Garrett Lamar in the 13 car, as the 48 of Garcia, oh, his nose was on that left rear quarter panel of Ryan Barone. Barone's able to stay clear of him. And now Blake Walker moves to the bottom lane with Chase Gibbons in the 14 being pushed by that 88. As we see through that first lap, a very unique shape this track is. It's not your typical dogleg. I'd say it's like if we expanded Phoenix by 3 times and gave it about 35, 40 degrees of baking.
Yeah, it's definitely a very unique track here at Armory Digital. Got an NR Hood Classic. Everyone loves it, but first time appearing on the LIMECAR schedule.
Absolutely. It's been putting on too good of races in other series to not put it on, and already as we're on board with the 27 of Richard Fridge, we can just see how well this racing is. Drivers really have to, throw different lanes, use different maneuvers to try and stay in line. You're actually lifting in this part of the corner right here. You're hitting the rev limiter and you have to lift. You don't see that at a super speedway, and that's what's gonna maybe cause a little bit of separation between some drivers. We won't see a true pack like we did at Daytona where everybody was nose to tail.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that'll cause an incident at least 1 point today, if not multiple points, because people are going to be running up on each other with big runs and people are going to be getting out of the throttle.
Absolutely. As we see one driver who just got a big run, that is Ryan Barone. I think we'll see a lot of these big runs through that first part of the dogleg, and then also into turn 3. We see Chris Lilly on that bottom lane, bottom of 4, going for the lead. Here he goes into turn 1. Barone keeps that bottom lane uncovered. As you just see, you're really throwing it in there on that little second jank of turn 1 and turn 2.
Yeah, as you said, it's not like a typical pack race because you have a really big pack and a lot of different lanes that you can use. But at the same time, the drivers have to lift and really drive the cars as opposed to Daytona and Talladega, where you're just kind of wide open. So it's kind of like an IndyCar race at like Fontana or something like that, where it's a pack but not in the true sense, and they're really having to drive the cars.
Absolutely. And one could say this is what the drivers have wanted, especially in the current era of super speedway racing. They want to be able to drive the cars. They want to have it all in their control. It seems like this race is all about your control. As the 46 of Barone in the wall, we're going to stay green, stay clean here, but that 46 is going to chog up that outside lane. We're going to see a little bit of separation up front. For the first time since about lap 1, we've got 2 wide. I don't think that'll last long, as the 1-3 racing teammates hook up together at about 30th place.
Yeah, that definitely could have been worse there with the 46 getting in the wall and then the 13 running up behind him. Not that the wall hasn't been a familiar place for either of those guys this season, but could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Both of those drivers have had a fair share of incidents throughout this season, namely Garrett Lamar, who seems to have his phone on him during the race. He tweets about as quickly as you could possibly expect for someone that wrecks out halfway through a race. But
yeah, well, I think he's got Twitter on the digital dash.
I think so. Is that legal? We'll have to look into it.
I don't think he cares.
I don't think so either. What's he going to do? Tweet at us? But look at this. Braden Sigafo's in the 10 Lowe's machine. That's a fresh new paint scheme for all 3 Team Chevrolet development drivers. The 10 has Lowe's, the 11 has JBL, and the 0 has Wendy's. Those are some hot-looking paint schemes, and this is the first time they've been able to sport them all year.
Yeah, especially under the lights here at Armory Digital. It looks really nice, especially that Wendy's car. Gotta love Alexander Rowe.
Absolutely. I know you're a big fan of Alexander Rowe, as we see 2 CRT drivers up front. He gave you one of your 2 rings as the other driver with the other ring, Henry Guo, in there. The drivers up front may have something to say about those rings, but yours are points ones. So I'd say you're pretty happy for Rowe for what he did for you guys in season 2.
Oh yeah, I couldn't be happier. I got what I wanted.
Absolutely. As we see a better look at that JBL car, that's very nice. Those Tricon cars in the Truck Series always look nice with JBL on it, and this Chevrolet of Nathan Stapleton is no stranger to it. As we see, Ricardo Garcia was wrapping that, I would say, double yellow line. It's a double blue line, making some headway. We got two stragglers out back, Justin Haley and Norris Told. Two Chevrolets, very interesting.
Yeah, this is something we've seen from Chevy all year. They have a really big field spread, I guess is how I describe it, where they'll have a lot of cars at the front and a lot of cars at the rear. Even my team has been a victim of that at times. It's very odd, and it seems to happen more with Chevy than any other manufacturer.
I mean, I would say like about 1/3 or close to a half of the field is Chevrolet, a very popular manufacturer. So maybe the strain of the engines could be a factor here. So we look at the Daytona 500 winner Santiago Nicolas in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and he was a strong car all day at Daytona. He didn't just kind of come up at the end and steal it. So it's kind of a surprise to see him in the middle of the pack here and not towards the front. But it's a long race, so he's got plenty of time.
I would say the opposite of a surprise up front, that 47F Henry Guo. He was strong all race in the Daytona 500, and it just fell apart, especially with that lapped car and getting passed with under 5 to go. That 47 has a few poles at super speedways. Your DAF racing camp has always been strong, but like I said, I mean, we've seen Chevrolets out back, but we've got 3 of the top 5 are all Chevrolets, and that's just counting the top 5. We have Garrett Lamar, Nicholas Soa, Blake Walker, all these Chevrolets right up front.
Wow, there's a kind of a squirrely moment there for a couple of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So that little section. Chris Lilly was leading in the one Toyota car. I was crowing on about Chevrolets, but it's a Dodge out front and a Toyota alongside him. Look at the run that Chris Lilly has as we're on board the helmet cam of Ryan Barone. And then here comes Joe Kraus in the Dodge. Dominic, I mean, these Dodges, it's been shocking me with how much speed they've had this season, especially um especially later into the season or early in the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mudfish Motorsports especially has been really strong. They've got 3 of their 4 cars in victory lane. Their 4th one's leading the race right now, or at least side by side for the lead. So they've been very strong. They won the Daytona 500. They won one of the Daytona duels. So they clearly have a strong super speedway package, and they're showing it here again today.
And that's not to mention Ricardo Garcia led a fair amount of his duel. I think he led over half of it before succumbing to Norris Told. And that 04 of Matthew Fastnot did win at the Roval. So this Mudfish Motorsports camp, and not to mention also the other Dodges of that's Kevin Harvick Inc., they've gotten a win too with Aaron Giffen. So 4 Dodge wins for points on the season, not to mention their dual success.
Yeah, and both times I've been in the booth this season, it's been a Dodge winning, so maybe I'm a good omen for them.
Don't say you're gonna switch to Dodge now.
No, I would never, of course.
Yeah. As another look at Nathan Stapleton, he says he's feeling good, a little bit nervous. This is his first super speedway in the Cup Series. The last time he was in a super speedway was in a truck. Or actually, no, he was in the Cup Series in season 2, but it's been a hot minute for that 11 car. He gets a little squirrely coming out of turn 4 as Chris Lilly and Reed Simpson, teammates, team owner, they're up front and trouble in the back.
Yeah, it looks like Jerry was the first one to go around there. Up on the side there, it doesn't look like too many cars have been collected. Looks like maybe a handful, 5 or 6.
Trouble in the back. Richard Fridge gets a little bit of side damage, but wild ride for the 37 of Jerry Chen.
Looked like last week's winner, Michael Guthrie, was involved as well. I believe that was Alexander Rowe.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to get a better look at it as the yellow comes out on lap 13 of 48. racing back to the line. A little bit dangerous here at a super speedway, but it seems like they're keeping it clean, keeping it smooth. Zachary Ponce leads them back and takes the lead. That Ford looking pretty strong. The 97 of Austin Green as well are up there with them. Let's take a look and see what happened.
It looks like he just got
Full
hung together
roll.
there with the 3 of Joe Kraus. It looked like he might have came up a little bit. It's hard to see from the replay starting that late. But definitely contact with the 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take another gander at it. Just going for the same real estate. I don't know who to pin the blame on. I think it just could be 50-50, another one of those super speedway deals. Oh, hard hit for it looks like the 23 of Marnell, who got hit by Richard Fridge, braking late for that incident.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like there's more cars involved than I initially thought. A lot of these guys got pieces of that, but managed to keep it straight. There's only a few guys that spun out, but definitely more with damage.
This is a really good angle here. Oh, you can see really the brunt of everybody there from that helicopter camera. Great camera angle from our camera crew for finding that one.
Yeah, and again, with the 3 and the 37, it looked like they were both just going for the same spot on the track, and it wasn't super necessary from either of them. They both had room on the left and right side, respectively, so kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate indeed. No drivers exited from the race. Rowe and Chen are a few laps down as we're going back green here. A little bit quick of a restart, kind of caught us off guard, but we're on lap 18 of 48. Zachary Ponce out front. Alexander Rowe and Jerry Chen are currently 2 laps down as we speak. The only other drivers to come down pit road, no leaders, but just drivers with damage.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see how the single file restarts will pan out here. I imagine it'll take longer for a pack to get going as opposed to double file on the initial start, but they're already getting 3 wide here, or at least looking.
I'd say the 0 and the 0 of Rowe, I think the 37 of Chen has immediately fallen towards the back, but Rowe having some pace to him definitely is helping get this pack formed up, as the leader of this pack is Rowe. The leader of the race is Zachary Ponce in the 16, who, oh, that's the 97. His teammate Austin Green kind of just sends him to the wayside, throws him up to the wall almost, and that hurts both of them as Chris Lilly takes the lead for the second time today.
Yeah, that was dicey there for a little bit. 4 wide between at least 2 teammates in there with the 16 and the 97, but they managed to get it sorted out. Still haven't quite shuffled out the lap car here of Alexander Rowe as Blake Walker takes the lead.
Walker takes it. Now his teammate Ryan Barone is underneath him. I would say you have to get rid of Rowe, even though Rowe is one of the most experienced drivers in this field. No super speedway wins to his name. Although if you're looking at his resume, second most wins in LIMECAR history, most wins in a season, a championship. He's somebody is you gotta flip the coin whether or not you want to keep him up there. Or you just gotta send him back to the back for your own good.
Yeah, and I think regardless of who it is, you probably want to get the lap cars out of the way. I know in the few races that I've done, I wouldn't want to be messing around with a lap car when I'm racing for the lead. So I think regardless of who it is, it's probably better to get them out of there if you can.
As we're on board with Kaz Gralla here, we're 4 wide as he's rubbing doors with Ethan Harrison. I don't know if that's on purpose or if they're just running out of room, but oh, it looks like, yeah, look at that angle. Kaz Gralla had all the room in the world and was still rubbing up on the door of Ethan Harrison. So no clue what Kaz Gralla was doing there, but it appears this is his only seat for this season, so he's trying to make the most of it.
Yeah, I guess so. That was very similar to the 3 and the 37 there. Same spot on the track as well, where it's just 2 guys squeezing each other for no apparent reason.
Absolutely. I think that's really odd for them to be doing that there, as we have 2 Chevrolets up front, and I know you mentioned it earlier that it was strange the 83 was out back. We're just before halfway, and here comes Santiago Nicolas in the 83. He's sitting in third, right behind race leaders Henry Guo and Ryan Barone.
Yeah, I figured he'd show his face at the front eventually, and ironically, he's up here with Tyler Cook and Henry Guo, two of the people that he beat for the Daytona 500 win. So a lot of people that we saw at Daytona up front are also up front here, unsurprisingly.
We just saw 5 wide where Ethan Harrison was in a dicey little moment, but Alexander Rowe and Reed Simpson tapped the wall as you were talking about that. I was trying not to interrupt you, but we almost had a little bit of dicey moment. Brayson Collins was getting a little bit squirrely as well, but we stay green. We stay 4 wide in that middle section of the field, 2 by 2 up front.
Yeah, I saw that back there. Kind of similar to what happened with the 46 earlier, where he just kind of gets in the wall and scrapes against it for a little bit and then gets it off. Luckily, wasn't anything more major than that.
Yeah, and it's good for doing that. You want to get off early. And I mean, here's the 43 of Tyler Cook. This wall can really suck you in, and as opposed to like most other times, like some other tracks, maybe like Rockingham, maybe a Bristol, you can utilize the wall to your advantage. But obviously, at a track where you're not all the way full throttle, but you should be full throttle, you want to get off the wall as quickly as possible.
Yeah, at a momentum-based track like this, you definitely want to stay away from the wall.
And we saw earlier with Barone, when he hit the wall, he went from top 15, I'd say, to 30th, 35th immediately. That's a loss of 20 positions. And that back half of the field is spread out just a little bit as Guthrie is given Harrison a little bit of fender. Harrison must have rubbed some people the wrong way in the driver's meeting because he is not getting a lot of love this weekend.
Well, he definitely rubbed some people the wrong way last week at Bristol, getting into it with a couple different guys. So this might be the effects of that. We'll have to ask him after the race.
Absolutely. The newsstand better be putting a microphone in his face because Harrison just did not have a good weekend. He shipped somebody for the first yellow 5 laps into the race and then gets shipped no less than 30 laps later. That's just part of it. That's just karma. But for someone like Ethan Harrison, one would say he's not here to make friends, but I don't know. That 77 really hasn't shown much speed at a track since Auto Club, which Auto Club was only a few races ago, but that was the first time this season that we've seen the 77 show consistent speed up front.
Yeah, that could be said for a few different guys. You know, there's with how much parity is in this series, you're not going to see people up front every week. But if you're in a position like the 77 or like plenty of other guys, you definitely want to keep your nose clean and try to right the ship.
Yeah, I mean, Santiago Nicolas and Aris Yuko, they're sitting second and third in points respectively. We really haven't seen Santiago Nicolas that much. Oh, excuse me, that much up front all season. And he's sitting second in points. Logan Williams has 2 wins to his name, but he's had his fair share of not so amazing races. And here's Austin Green. He's sitting last in points of the full-time drivers, and he's riding here up front. Maybe this could be a turnaround for his season. He's not too far off of other drivers in points, and as we'll look at the point standings later after this race, but as I remember them, everyone's still really, really tight. There's not that much separation between really first and last place in the point standings.
Yeah, and as I was saying, there's a lot of parity in this series. So one bad week can really shoot you down the standings and vice versa with a good week. You know, like Logan's leading the points right now, and obviously he has 2 wins, but he's had his fair share of not so good results too with the mechanical failure at Charlotte and stuff like that. So you're not going to be on your A game every week. And I think the key to doing good in the standings here is just minimizing the terrible weeks. You know, you can have okay weeks, you can have good weeks. You just got to have as few bad weeks as possible.
Someone that has not had the greatest of seasons. Reed Simpson currently out front, the 13 of Garrett Lamar, another one of those drivers who hasn't had an amazing season as well. Justin Haley and Nicholas Soa, 2 friends, former coworkers, current coworkers at Spire Motorsports to a certain extent, I'd say, out front. A lot of these guys just haven't had consistent seasons, and the ones that have had luck swing their way are up front, and someone like Garrett Lamar, who he had a mechanical issue at the Roval where he had to come down pit road with I believe a vibration when he was running in third. Just imagine if he carved back through the field for a top 30. Just imagine if that race was a top 3 for him. He'd be sitting at least 5 positions higher in points right now.
Yeah, Garrett's had a lot of speed at a few different races this season. I took a shot at him earlier, but in all seriousness, he was fast at the Roval. He was fast at the 600. He was fast at Rockingham. It hasn't panned out for him yet, but if he keeps bringing this type of speed to the track, he's going to win one before the year is over for sure.
Those CRT cars really they bring a good amount of speed every single weekend. We've seen Robbie Gordoff, a rookie. He's been out front time and time again. He's got a pole or so underneath his belt. Christopher Marnell, we've talked about him a lot this season in terms of the luck that he's been having, but I think that 23 team and really all of CRT is due to see themselves in victory lane at some point. Not to mention as well Tyler Cook, points leader after race 2 with 2 back-to-back second place finishes. I know he's been itching for trying to get back up front, especially after losing so narrowly in both of those races.
Yeah, he had a rough stretch there at Rockingham in the 600, and I believe Vegas as well was a pretty poor result for him. So he's just trying to build himself back up at this point. But as you said, second place at Daytona, so no reason to believe he can't repeat that here today at a similar track type.
Out front, we see the 03 of Kaz Grala. This is a throwback to his dad's scheme when he ran prototypes in about 2006, 2007. Not many prototypes or really Grand Am, IMSA series schemes that you'll see transfer over well onto a cup car. We've seen some pretty horrendous throwbacks, especially in LIMECAR Season 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely better than that one that Ricardo Garcia tried a couple of years ago, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, that 03 car, red, white, and blue, it looks nice. The lines may not align perfectly with what the actual scheme was, but as long as the car looks good and it's memorable to Kaz, as Darius Grala, a big reason of why Kaz has that circle around his 3, the 03, is because his dad raced in Grand Am and American Le Mans. So pretty cool tribute. We'll go on board here, the hood cam. This looks to be Ethan Harrison, so we'll see how we can get around this track. We'll really see how these guys wheel this thing.
Yeah, and he's pretty tightly squeezed in here between Justin Haley and Matthew Fastnot, but it looks like they're going to sort it out as Strokey Banger is making a huge move on the inside there. He passed probably 6 or 7 guys there, if not more.
And he's still continuing to make his charge up front. Looking underneath, it looks like Garrett Lamar. These guys, you have the double blue line, I guess. The double line rule here where you can't pass beneath it, but they're getting as close as ever to it, unlike some of the other tracks. This out of bounds rule, this is the first time we really see them push the issue here, especially on that front stretch. They're trying to get every inch out of that front stretch as possible.
Yeah, they're typically pretty good about staying above the line. I don't remember any issues in previous seasons or earlier this season at Daytona Talladega, so I wouldn't expect a controversy, but you never know. I mean, maybe if someone gets squirrely and they have to avoid an accident, you never know what could happen. So something to watch, but I don't think it's necessarily at the forefront.
Brayson Collins in the 5 car. He is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. His team is based across the pond in the greater United Kingdom. He's been having a solid season for not only a single car operation, but someone who has to haul and freight their cars overseas. It's impressive that this 5 car has lasted longer this season than the legacy team that was also based across the pond, but Brayson Collins has been doing pretty solid this year.
Yeah, and they haven't just been showing up. They've been bringing speed every week, too, or at least most weeks. So definitely a very strong effort from that 1 car team so far. I guess the good thing is he definitely has a lot of people to turn to for advice when it comes to operating from across the pond. Obviously, CRT in Ireland, and then Astolfo in Japan. So plenty of people to lean on in that sense.
And Bryson is always one to make a friend, be a friendly face at the track. He showed face in the prior seasons. In season 1, he was working as a mechanic. Season 2, raced in the Truck Series for Bones Motorsports, and also really was at the track. Even if the Truck Series raced on Wednesdays, he was still there on Sundays helping out. So Collins is definitely one of the more recognizable drivers in the field, and it's a feel good story to see Collins do extremely well in that 5-car camp. As Harrison had the lead, made a huge lunge for it, and has already fallen back to second in line on that top lane, with Zachary Potts taking it. A little bit of a late block on Robbie Gordoff stalls that 33's momentum. I didn't think that would work, but a very odd move. There's some arrow blocking here at Armory Digital.
Yeah, right after I said the double blue line wouldn't come into play today, we had a bit of an odd moment there with the 33 and the 53, but they sorted it out, no harm, no foul.
Clock ticking, laps winding down, just under 15 laps to go. As the 08 of Nicholas Soa he was one tire underneath that. Don't think he made any passes there for position, but we're getting close. It's crunch time, and I think these drivers are going to start to get antsy. This pack has got, I think, 38, 39 drivers. We'll get a good look at it with this helicopter cam, but it's about to be go time for some of these guys.
Yeah, it's getting down to it here, and it's been a really clean and green race so far with only that one caution. So the laps have gone by really quickly. There hasn't been a ton of stoppage. So you can definitely feel the intensity picking up right now because it's getting down to crunch time.
And no shortage of action here, as I would say this is probably one of our best camera angles for a super speedway. You can just see how these runs are developing between these drivers, the 4 and 5 wide. Strokey Banger, you could just see that run develop. He was on that quarter panel of the 29 of Cam Arrow and kind of moved him out of the way a little bit with an arrow push. Loses his momentum, and now he's got Quentin Haley in the 31 able to give him a big shove. I mean, that's just
see
Strokey
that
Banger.
again with the 60 and 53 squeezing each other. That's an exact replay of what happened a couple times earlier, but they're going to keep it clean this time too.
As you mentioned in pre-race before we went green, Eris Yuko didn't post a time, but he's had speed at super speedway races. He doesn't have a checkered flag yet at a super speedway race, but he's always been a formidable force. Look at him just outside that top 10, top 20, I would say. There's the 01 of Norris Told as well, dual 1 winner.
Yeah, Eris Yuko has always been really strong at the speedways. I remember all the way back to the first Daytona 500 back in season 1. He was one of the people in the top 5 chasing Ian McDaniel across the line. And so he's always been good here. And he proved that again this season in the 500, and he's trying to show it again today, trying to turn this season around.
I don't know what's gotten into Robbie Gordoff, but he's had a full head of steam. He lost the lead from Ryan Barone and took it back on his own merit. I mean, he's had a pretty good season for a rookie for his first season, and who knows, maybe this could be the day where he tries to stay out front. A super speedway is always a great place to get your first win, especially for a lot of these rookies, because you just need to get that over the glass ceiling to get the win. Once you break through it, who knows what could happen next. We saw with Logan Williams, he got that win, and then he just rattled off another one. He got the win at Rockingham, and then rattled off another one at Auto Club. So you never know. A win at a super speedway could be a huge momentum boost for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes that one to set you off on a streak. I mean, Alexander, for example, went winless the entire first season, then won early in season 2 and went on to win 5 races in the championship that year. So sometimes that's all it takes is just one win to get your mind right, and then you know you can do it, and then it becomes easier from there on out.
Santiago Nicolas, Daytona 500 winner. He's second in points right now. So again, a little bit of got his head right, and then now he's having a phenomenal rookie season. A little bit of field spread here. We see the back half of the pack. Something must have happened, but we've still got 3 wide up front. field spread as the clock ticks down. I wonder if some of these guys are trying to lay back in case of a yellow with under 10 laps to go.
That definitely could be that's a potential strategy for sure. And one thing I want to note here before it gets too late in the racing, gets too crazy, is that we haven't seen a ton of the in-season matchup guys up front today. I mean, we've seen Greenhouse was up there for a lap or two. Garcia was up there early. But really, the only one that's been consistently towards the front has been Hunter Collier in the 60 car. So we'll have to see. A lot of these guys are mired back in the pack, so it could go any which way here.
3x3. This is a little bit typical of a Talladega or a Daytona, as we've got some lap traffic up in front. This is Jerry Chen in the 37 and Christopher Marnell in the 23. We've got such a wide track. I don't think this will. Oh, Jerry Chen, what are we doing here, bud? I was about to say this might not cause any issue, but the 37 really was weaving, trying to get out of people's way and made a late move.
Yeah, and with like 3 to 5 lanes of traffic, you're kind of at a loss in terms of where to put yourself, because no matter where you are, you're going to end up screwing someone else over. Really, the best you can do if you can't get on the apron is just pick a lane and stick to it. But yeah, not an ideal situation no matter what they do.
A little bit tight squeeze there for Ricardo Garcia. Kept his nose clean last weekend at Bristol with a top 5 finish. Even got a post-race celebratory shower from his team owner. But, I mean, Garcia still has a reputation to try and reverse, and it was getting a little dicey over there. A little bit dicey with Jerry Chen and Ricardo Garcia.
Yeah, and just a few laps ago, I was talking about how we don't have a lot of the in-season tournament guys up here, but here's Michael Guthrie showing his face at the front with 6 to go, or coming to 6 to go anyway. He's up against Kyle Mabey, who has not really been seen at the front so far today. So I'd say Guthrie's looking to be in a pretty comfortable spot right now. Oh, he got a crash here with Robbie Gordoff.
Oh, big crash, big trouble on that front straightaway. That's going to be a lot of contenders. There's Kyle Mabey, as we just mentioned. Oh, goodness gracious. I think that was a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. Robbie Gordoff, Matthew Fastnot.
Looked to be a similar situation to Chris Lilly at Rockingham, where he gets turned on the front stretch and then just goes straight back up the track and takes out a bunch of other cars. Obviously, Henry was the first one to get hit there, and then probably 10 to 15 other cars piling in behind.
And Michael Guthrie, Reed Simpson race it back to the line. Guthrie in the catbird seat, last week's winner. Could he pull off another walk-off victory to go back-to-back that'd be the first time. Let's take a look at this replay. Yeah.
Exact same thing as 37 and 3.
Oh, Matthew Fastnot hit the brakes, man. And just everybody piles in. Cam Arrow with amazing wreck avoidance it looked like he was in the middle of it and got out of there. Goodness.
Yeah,
gracious.
It's half luck and half skill at this point when you're in a pack like this, but definitely a good job by him, as there's really 2 guys, Fastnot and Gordoff, both just put the crosshair straight back on the racing line, and nothing anybody else could really do about that.
I just saw it from that angle. We might see it from here. It looked like Norris Told got spun by Eris Yuko. I don't know if that was premeditated or whatnot, but it spun the 01 directly into the 04. We might see it here. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely contact with a light blue car. I think that was the 54.
Another look at it. A phenomenal camera angle.
I was going to say, it looks like the cup race at Coda. Great view of the grandstands, but it did look like the 33 just kind of turned left on a straightaway there. So not the first time we've seen that today, but definitely the worst result it's had. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That takes out a bunch of drivers. We'll go on board with Marnell here, who the C's part for the 23. Wow. My goodness.
Yeah, he is a lap down, so he's not having a great day, but that'll make it better because he'll definitely pick off a few cars that are going to be out of the race from that.
Absolutely. And he will get the lucky dog as well. So he'll cycle back to the lead lap for this green white checkered restart as it is lap 47. So we will complete this race one lap above the scheduled distance, which means we'll have always lovely double file green white checkered. Um, and yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. Guthrie and Simpson row one.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks with overtime finish. We saw some controversy with the double file last week with the 08 losing at the last second. Some drivers and team owners had some complaints about that. I may or may not have been one of them, but we'll have to see how this one plays out here. Very different track this week.
Green flag back out. We're underway. Can Guthrie hold on for his second straight win? Unlimited green white checkered attempts. If we get a yellow before the white flag, we will re-rack and restart. And at a
Mudfish
track like
Motorsports with 3 cars
Bristol,
in the top 5 right here.
absolutely. Could this be the day for Ricardo Garcia to finally break through that glass ceiling and get the win? First win for his career since season one. A win that he led flag to flag of at a track that really didn't see much passing up front. Could this be his first true victory, one might say? But here comes Garrett Lamar on the bottom lane.
I was going to say, who else but Garrett Lamar to take Ricardo Garcia 3 wide, and he's going to take this all the way to P1 here with Richard Fridge behind him, his former teammate.
Big push from the 27 to the 13 as white flag is in the air. We are clean for the final lap here at Armory Digital Superspeedway. It's Garrett Lamar up front, the 27 of Fridge in third. Now in second, don't count out Garcia in the 48. He's in third in the lane on the bottom. The 29 of Cam Arrow abandons his team owner, Aaron Giffen. I'm sure that'll be talked about in their team meeting. Down the back straightaway.
The top lane's kind of falling apart here. It's a long lap, so they got time to restack it here, but not ideal. The bottom lane is definitely much more organized. Here comes Fridge making a move on Lamar. Ricardo Garcia is going to go with the 27.
If Garcia gets to the back bumper of the 27, it's anybody's game. Comes up to block the 13. That opens the door. Garcia sees fresh air for the first time today. Coming to the line. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Richard Fridge at the stripe.
Second career win for Richard and the first with our team. I'm very happy for him. It's been a struggle this season. Not anything to do with him. Just very bad luck. And I'm glad that he's finally going to get one to go his way here. After being involved in the first crash of the day, don't forget that.
27 works his way to the front. A little bit of heartbreak for the 51. We'll take a look at this replay of the finish, see how close it was between the 27 and 48. I'd say a little bit of heartbreak.
This has to be one of the closer finishes in LIMECAR history. I don't remember one ever being side by side like that before. I could be wrong, but it's definitely got to be up there.
I think we'll have to rewind the tapes at Daytona and then Talladega in season 2. We saw a few close ones there, but that's definitely up there for one of the closest finishes we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I finally got my super speedway win. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. Lots of poles and lots of front rows, but never got a win until now. So thank you, Richard, for that one.
Absolutely. As we'll take a look at these results as the 27 rightfully burns it down in that beautiful Sunny D machine. Top 5 for Michael Guthrie after leading at the final restart. So close yet so far, but great run for Guthrie. Almost gets back-to-back wins. Garcia with another top 5 finish. Garrett Lamar gets another top 5 finish. One of his best results this season. Tyler Cook, Blake Walker, Chase Gibbons, Henry Guo round out the top 10. 500 winner Santiago Nicolas gets a top 15. Logan Williams is able to clear some of the carnage and finish top 20. As Marnell is able to finish 27th. So good result for Marnell after the seas parting for that 23 car. but that 23 has just not had the luck that we've seen him have in previous seasons. Soa, Foss, Greenhouse, Sigafos, Fastnot, McDaniel, Harrison, all wrecked out of the race. Rowe and Chen finished 4 laps down. They were 2 laps down at the stripe, and then Green and Told out of the race as well. Well, this is going to shake up the in-season tournament, of course, because it is a super speedway. Aaron Giffin's able to advance over Hunter Collier. Michael Guthrie takes the win over Kyle Mabey. Ricardo Garcia, the 30th seed. He's moving on to the Final Four. And then Logan Williams is able to take home his matchup against Chase Gibbons.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that bottom one is correct because I believe Gibbons did finish in the top 10 and Logan was back in 19th. I was paying extra close attention to that one, of course, with Logan being my driver, and I do believe Gibbons is the winner out of that one.
You are correct, as we have it listed correctly here. So, graphics team better get on that to fix it. But these are our head-to-head matchups for COTA. Giffen versus Guthrie, Garcia versus Gibbons. A lot of G's in there.
Yeah, that won't be confusing at all.
Absolutely not. Whoever's in the booth with me is going to have a great time trying to remember who's facing off against who, because I sure won't. We'll take a look at our point standings. This is as we mentioned, this is what happens when you have 2 great weekends back to back. Michael Guthrie, P2 in points, his highest result, his highest point standing ever in his career.
Yeah, back-to-back good weeks will do that for you. Obviously, he took advantage of a late caution last week, kind of got robbed by one this week, but what goes around comes around, I guess. And my guy Henry is doing so good. He's in 10th and 14th, so another zinger from the graphics team.
Absolutely. I'm sure they'll have to get on that. Whoever's up there is going to get fired. And if the graphics are correct when you're watching this and you aren't understanding what we're doing, well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But another great super speedway race, I'd say much more thrilling than Daytona. We had thrills, we had spills, we had leaders with lead changes, and we had an overtime finish. Not much else you could ask for, especially from you, Dominic. Any final thoughts before we sign off for tonight?
No, this is exactly what I was hoping for. It was a great race. Obviously, love to see one of my cars in victory lane. And I can't wait for the next one because it's been a really good season so far.
Absolutely. LIMECAR is back and better than ever. We're halfway through the season. Can you believe it? Halfway through. Man. Well, from all of us here up in the booth, Dominic, thank you for joining us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Pleasure as always. You're one of our favorite guests to have up here. From us at the booth, we'll say so long from Seattle, Washington. We'll see you guys next week in Austin, Texas for COTA, a road course. It's gonna be something. We always have great races at COTA. Hopefully it's another one.